Hey everyone, welcome back, and let's write some more neat code today. So today we're going to be solving a binary question, counting bits. And this is one of the binary questions from the blind 75 list that we've been tracking in this spreadsheet. So we will finally be adding a video solution to this binary problem. I'm pretty sure it used to be a medium problem, which is why it's highlighted yellow, but I think it got changed to an easy problem. So the statement is pretty simple. We're given an integer n, and we want to return an answer array of length n plus 1, basically a value for every integer in the range from 0 all the way up until n. So if n happened to be 0, then we would just return a single integer. If 0 happened to be 2, then we would return 3 integers for 0, 1, and 2. And basically, for every value in this range, 0 to n, so if n was 2, we would have 3 values in that range, 0, 1, 2. For each of these values, we want to know what is the number of 1s in the binary representation of this particular integer. Now, what's the binary representation of 0? It's, of course, just 0, right? You could add multiple zeros, but it's still going to be 0. What's the binary representation of 1? It's going to be just 1, right? You could have some leading zeros. We could have as many as we want, but at the end, it's just going to end with a single 1. So there's only one occurrence of the integer 1 in the binary representation of 0. So far, our output is going to look something like 0, 1, and then now we just need the number of 1s in the binary representation of 2. The binary representation of 2 is going to look like this, 1, 0. You could have some leading zeros, but this is the main part that we're looking at. So it just has a single 1. So then the output is going to be 1 for that. So the array that we would return is going to look something like this, 0, 1, 1. Now the brute force way to solve this problem is going to be n log n, and that solution is going to look something like this. Let's say we had an arbitrary value such as 2 or maybe even 3, right? We know the binary representation of 3 is going to look like 1, 1. Right? So how are we going to count the number of 1s in the binary representation of 3? Well, let's get the 1s place, right? Is this going to be a 1 or a 0? How can we get that? Well, we can take 3, mod it by 2, which is going to give us 1. So we have at least one 1 here, right? So we already looked at this position. So what we do is basically cross it out, and then we just want to look at the remaining portions. Now, how can we actually do this? Like what kind of operation can we do? Basically, if you take 3 and divide it by 2, integer division here, and most programming languages will do this basically by integer division. What that's going to do to this integer is it's basically going to take that 1's place and remove it, take the remaining bits, and then shift it to the right. So it basically does exactly what you would want to do. And of course, what do we get when we take 3 and divide it by 2? Integer division is going to give us a 1, so we're basically going to get this, and when you look at that, yes, this is the binary representation of 1, right? So now we're going to take this and mod it by 2 as well. We're taking 1, modding it by 2. That's also going to be a 1. So far we've counted 2 different 1s for this integer, and again, we're going to take this 1's place now and chop it off, and now we're left with a single 0. So if you take 1 divided by 2, yes, you get 0. Once we get to 0, that's how you know when we're stopping, right? There's obviously in 0, there's no more 1s in 0. So basically we counted 2 different 1s. So that's how we would do it for every particular integer. The example I showed right now is 3, and to get this, the time complexity is log n, because for any integer n, how many times can you divide it by 2? Well, of course, that's just log base 2n. Now, we don't really worry too much about the base usually, but yes, it's going to be log n, log base 2n. That's how many times we could divide any particular integer n by 2. And of course, we know we're doing this for a bunch of integers in the range all the way from 0 to n. So we're doing this n times. Doing a log n operation n times is going to be time complexity n log n. Now there's some repeated work that we can eliminate that you can easily recognize when you actually draw out the bit mappings, the binary representations of a bunch of integers, and with that repeated work, we can actually get a working O of n solution. Let me show you that right now. Now I just drew out the binary representations from 0 all the way up to 8. So we know that of course 0 has 0 and 1s in the binary representation. When you get to 1, we have 1 occurrence of 1 in its binary representation. For 2, we have 1. For 3, by looking at this, we can see we have 2 different 1s. And now when you get to 4, you really start to notice how we are doing this repeated work. Notice how for 4 all the way to 7, we have a 1 in this place, right? In the most significant place, we have a 1. And notice how the remaining portion of this, and then this, and then this, and this, these 4 are just repeats of the previous 4 that we calculated, right? Because we're counting 0, 0, adding a 1, right, to 4. When you add a 1, you just change it to this. From 4, when we add a 2, we get this, which is basically the binary representation of 2 itself, right? And then you get a 1, 0, and then you get a 1, 1, which is matching over here. So now looking at it, this is the binary representation of 4, right? There's just a single 1 in this position. So if we wanted to take 0 and add 4 to it, we would just take this position and add a 1 here, right? That will take us 4 positions ahead. And if you had a 1 and you change this bit to a 1, we're adding 4 to it. So you can take a 1 and change it to a 5 by taking that bit. So similarly, when we get to 4, we know that yes, we're going to have one extra 1 in this position, right? Because we just got this 1. This 1 represents a 4. This is the most significant bit so far. But for the remaining ones, all we have to do is take this, offset it by 4 and get here and count how many 1s were over here. So when we're calculating how many 1s for 4, we're just saying it's 1 plus the number of bits at position 0. How many 1s were in position 0? That's our DP. So you can see this is a dynamic programming problem because we're using the previous results that we calculated to compute the new results. In other words, this is going to be 1 plus DP of n minus 4. And actually, when you look at this 5, we're also offsetting it by 4 to get these 2, right? Because that's what's going to match up with this, which is going to tell us how many 1s are going to go here, right? So and clearly we see that that's a 1. So here we're going to compute 1 plus, again, dp of n minus 4. And similarly for here, we would say 1, which is coming from here, plus the number of 1s in this binary representation, which we know we already computed up over here. And the answer to that was 1. So in this position, really there's going to be 2 1s in this binary representation. Now over here, once again, we know that there's at least 1 from here, plus how many were in this binary representation. We computed that at position 3, which again is offset by 4. So this is going to be 1 plus 2, which is going to be 3. Now you get over here. So now we have an even more significant bit. Last time the most significant bit was in this position, and we know that represents the integer 4. Now we got an even more significant bit, which represents the integer 8. So we know that this is going to have at least one occurrence of 1, and then we want to know how many 1s are in this binary representation. Now, how are we going to get that? In this case, you can tell the offset is no longer 4, because if we do an offset of 4, we get to the integer 4. That's not what we're trying to do. This binary representation represents the integer 0. So in reality, we want to take 8, offset it by 8, which is going to get us all the way over here. And once you do that, that's when you actually notice the pattern. Since this is going to be 1 plus dp of n minus 8, you can tell that for each value, this is going to be the equation 1 plus dp of n minus a particular integer, and that integer is going to be called the offset. And the offset is going to be the most significant bit that we have reached so far. And what are the most significant bits? Well, the first one is going to be a 1, the next one is going to be a 2, the next is going to be a 4, 8, 16. So basically they're doubling in size every time because we know a bit is just a power of 2, right? That's what binary represents. So let's clean this up just a tiny bit. So we know that this is kind of our base case. 0 is going to have 0 1s in it. Now, in the next position, what's the most significant bit we've reached so far? It's in the 1s place, right? So therefore, it's going to be a 1. So when we're computing this, we're going to compute 1 plus dp of n. N is always going to be the value we're computing right now. So that's going to be a 1 minus 1 because 1 is the most significant bit we've reached so far. Down here, we reached a new significant bit of 2. Right? Because we've gotten to the value 2 so far. So for here, we're going to say 1 plus dp of n minus 2. Now in this next position, again, the most significant bit is 2, right? We know that 2 is a significant bit. The next significant bit is going to be 4 because that's another power of 2. So 3 is not it's still going to use the previous value. So from here, we're going to compute 1 plus, again, dp of n minus 2. Now, once you get here, we see that we've reached a new power of 2. So then we're going to be modifying this to 1 plus dp of n minus 4. And then, of course, when we got to 8, we know we reached a new power of 2, so we were going to do 1 plus dp of n minus 8. How do you know if you reach a new power of 2? Well, you can take the previous power of 2. For example, it was 2, right? Let's say the current power of 2 is 2. Let's say we multiply it by 2. Does that equal the current value we're at? If we got to 3, n equals 3, we would check, does 2 times 2 equal 3? No, it does not. So we did not reach a new power of 2. If we got to 4, 2 times 4, that does equal 4. So now we reached a new power of 2. And then from 4, we would do the same thing. So 4 multiplied by 2, does that equal to 7, right? Let's say we got to 7 and we were trying to see, is this a power of 2? No, this does not equal 7. But once we get to 8, then 4 times 2, yes, that equals 8, right? So we did reach a new power of 2, and we'd do the exact same thing. So the next time we would reach a new power of 2 would be 8 times 2 equals 16. So next time we reach a 16, that's going to be a new power of 2, and 16 times 2 is 32, etc., etc. So that's how it's going to work. And once you know this idea, it's not super intuitive until you actually kind of draw it out. But once you do, the code is actually pretty easy to write. Let me show you how. So our DP array is going to be initialized to all zeros, and it's going to be length n plus 1 because that's how many we're trying to compute. And we're also going to have an answer array, which is initially just going to have a single 0 in it because we know n is going to be at least 0. And then we're going to go through for I in range all the way from 1 up until n. So n plus 1, this is non-inclusive in Python, so we're actually going to be stopping when we go from 1 all the way up until n. And we're going to be keeping track of one more variable, the offset, aka the highest power of 2 so far. So initially that's going to be 1. So before we actually compute the DP, or the number of bits in this integer i's binary representation, first we're going to check, can we double our offset? We're going to check if offset multiplied by 2 is equal to I, the current n that we have just reached. If it is, then we can set offset equal to I, otherwise offset is going to stay the same, and then we can actually compute the DP. So we're trying to compute DP of I, which is basically the number of bits, the number of ones in I's binary representation. We know that's going to be at least 1 plus DP of I minus the offset. And actually, one thing I just realized is the DP and the answer array are actually the exact same. I don't know why I even created an answer array. We can get rid of that. So this DP is basically our answer array. It's going to give us the number of bits, the number of 1 bits in each integer's binary representation. So once we're done with that, we can go ahead and just return this DP array. So as you can see, this is a pretty efficient solution. This is the linear time, big O of n, time and space solution. So I hope this was helpful. If it was, please like and subscribe. It supports the channel a lot, and I'll hopefully see you pretty soon. Thanks for watching.